Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. Want to thank you so much for tuning in today. All right, guys, I'm back with more updates out of the Middle East. Want to give you more information regarding the ongoing war between Israel and Iran right now, and we're still trying to figure out whether the U.S. is going to get involved and try to strike their nuclear facilities. So I have some information I want to share with you. Trump's been coming out with some major statements, especially on True Social, his social media platform today, and I want to share some of these details with you. So take a look at your screen here. Trump demands Iran to surrender. U.S. has no desire for negotiations. U.S. President Donald Trump has demanded that Iran end its nuclear program, adding he wants a complete give up by Tehran, landing back in the U.S. after a G7 summit in Canada. Yes, so yesterday I reported to you guys that Trump was leaving early from the G7 summit in Canada while he was meeting with other world leaders. Reportedly, he has arrived back in Washington, D.C. as of last night. He's also met with his National Security Council, and they're reviewing strike options onto Iran right now. Apparently, they're figuring out whether they're going to get involved or not. And Trump's, coming out with huge statements here, calling on Iran to surrender and several other things that I want to share with you guys. We also have reports that Israel's been carrying out massive strikes, especially in the capital of Tehran. Lots of explosions all over the place in Iran still. This war is still very much very heated right now. Heavy strikes taking place from both sides, and we're also seeing a major degrading in the ability and capabilities from the Iranians. They're not launching as many missiles at Israel anymore, and that's something we've seen over the last 24 to 48 hours. So I have details on that as well. So let's jump on over here to X and let me start sharing some of these details with you. This is from Nexta. Trump demands full Iranian surrender. I have no desire to negotiate with Iran. I expect nothing less than its full surrender. At the same time, he hinted he's open to returning to the negotiating table with Tehran. If they want to talk, they know how to reach me. They should have taken the deal that was on the table. It would have saved a lot of lives, okay? And that's what Trump says here in this video. Unfortunately, I'm not going to play it just because it's really hard to hear what Trump is saying here. He's on Air Force One, and it's just so loud, and he has no microphone anywhere close to him, and I have to really crank it up just to get you guys to hear it, and honestly, you can barely hear anything he's saying. That's basically what he stated there. They're not open to negotiating with Iran, and they want them to surrender is kind of what he was stating here in this video. So that was one of the first things he's mentioned today. I also have this from Ozen Defender. U.S. President Trump in a post moments ago on True Social. We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Nobody does it better than the good old USA. Yeah, this was a statement from Donald J. Trump. We'll go ahead and read it here. We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Iran had good sky trackers and other defensive equipment, and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived, and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than the good old USA. Okay, so this is crazy. Like, when I read this, I was like, does that mean that the U.S. is now involved in the skies over Iran right now? Because he's saying that we have now complete, total control over the skies of Iran. Now, obviously, Israel's carrying out a lot of these strikes over there, and there's been so much talk that, like, the U.S. is over there carrying out airstrikes. I've seen unconfirmed reports about that, so it makes me wonder if the U.S. is, like, silently involved right now, and we just don't know it. But yeah, that's what he's claiming here, that the U.S. has control of skies. So that's another major indicator that after they clear out the skies here, they might start launching these major strikes on nuclear facilities over here very soon. And it looks like that's what's coming next. Now, Ozen Defender, two more posts moments ago by U.S. President Trump stating, we know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He's an easy target, but is safe there. We're not going to take him out. Kill, at least not for now, followed by a post which only says unconditional surrender. Yeah, look at these two posts here as well. Trump was calling for unconditional surrender. Oh, sorry about that, guys. For the Iranians, calling on the Islamic regime to surrender to Trump. And then also he says here, we know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He's an easy target, but is safe there. We're not going to take him out or kill, at least for now, but we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So also threatening Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and saying they know exactly where he's hiding. He's an easy target. They could launch strikes over there now and take him out, but for some reason they are waiting to do so, and maybe it's due to hoping that there's some sort of breakthrough in the nuclear deal. And I don't know if that's just some sort of smoke and mirrors to make it appear as if the U.S. is still open to somewhat negotiating with Iran, but I have a big feeling what we're going to see next is they're just going to carry out these strikes and try to destroy these nuclear facilities themselves. Now, Oza Defender speaking to reporters earlier on board Air Force One after departing the G7 summit in Canada, U.S. President Trump said that he believes Iran is very close to a nuclear weapon, with reporters asking him what he thought about his Director of National Intelligence, or DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, stating as recently as last month that Iran was not working on a nuclear weapon, to which he responded, "I don't care what she said. I think they're very close to having them." So isn't that crazy? The President of the United States stating that the Director of National Intelligence, coming out saying that Iran is not working towards a nuclear weapon, apparently. He's stating that he doesn't care what she says. He believes they are working towards a nuclear weapon, or maybe he has information that she doesn't. But I mean, that's the Director of National Intelligence stating that. So what's the point of having a Director of National Intelligence give out information if Trump's just going to come out and say, no, they have a nuclear weapon. We're going to go and bomb them. We got to stop them now. So apparently there's some sort of feud going on there. Does not look good for the Trump administration, but that's what he stated aboard Air Force One. Now, Vice Grad 24 breaking after speaking with several American officials, Axios reports that Trump is seriously considering launching a U.S. strike against Iran's nuclear facilities, especially its underground uranium enrichment facility in Fordow. Yeah, the Fordow facility is one of the underground nuclear sites that Israel reportedly cannot breach. They don't have the right munitions to be able to breach deep enough down there. And apparently only the U.S. potentially has it. Now, I'm not sure if they can actually strike down there deep enough or not. We know some of these facilities are way deep underground, but apparently the U.S. only has those capabilities to do so. That's why the U.S. might be getting involved. But according to Axios, they are very serious about launching these strikes here in the near future, maybe even today, who knows. Now, Geo Insider, Israel Minister of Defense Katz says, today we are going to attack very significant targets in Tehran. The IDF will notify the civilians to evacuate. Yeah, this was stated by the Minister of Defense in Israel. His name is Israel Katz. And that's what he was stating, that the IDF is going to be carrying out strikes in Tehran. And I've got videos coming out from here. Here's Vice Grad 24 breaking. Smoke rising over Tehran as the Israeli Air Force starts striking targets in the central part of the city again. I mean, we've seen so many strikes in Tehran, but just today there was lots of airstrikes being carried out. Major explosions reported across this city, which is the capital of Iran, as the IDF is going after more targets, probably more top officials of the IRGC, their military, maybe even politicians, who knows, are a part of the Islamic regime government over there. So now from Vice Grad 24, breaking, the Israeli Air Force is striking targets in the upscale Andarzgu neighborhood of Tehran. Okay, so it's apparently like a richer area of Tehran as well. We had some crazy airstrikes carried out also. You can see people just driving over here, and apparently a lot of people still inside of Tehran. There's been so many people leaving, and maybe some of those that can't leave, maybe they're stuck there in the city, or at the same time, maybe they're waiting to get out and haven't been able to leave yet. But we can still see cars here on the streets, and we have that major airstrike over here. Looks like just on the other side of these buildings. Now, open source intel breaking. Tehran is getting obliterated right now. Strikes reported in multiple IRGC and regime locations. You can see going after IRGC members, their military members, and also anybody part of the Iranian regime is what they're going after also. So we got a couple of videos here. Go ahead and pause it there. Looks like we had a massive airstrike also over here in the capital city of Tehran. Another video coming up next. All right, so now I don't know exactly what Israel's going after over here. Probably connections again to the military or the Iranian regime, but they did state they would go after some new targets inside of Tehran, and it looks like that's what we're seeing here in some of these videos that were breaking earlier today. Now from open source intel breaking, for the first time in history, Taliban streets in Tehran stands completely empty. So this is apparently a street that's very busy inside of Iran, and look at this, there's just nobody here as thousands of people, probably even in the millions by now, have already fled the capital city of Tehran, especially after last night when Trump issued an order literally on social media for everybody to leave the city, as they're most likely going to be carrying out some massive strikes over here. So we're seeing a complete collapse of society inside of Iran right now, and especially the capital city, as everybody is leaving there. Now, the informant, Israeli airstrikes have reportedly targeted the vicinity of the Isfahan refinery in central Iran, a critical component to the country's energy infrastructure. The Isfahan refinery, officially known as the Isvahan Oil Refinery, is one of Iran's largest, with a processing capacity of approximately 375,000 barrels per day. It plays a vital role in supplying refined petroleum products, including gasoline and diesel, to Iran's central and southern regions. The facility is strategically located near significant military infrastructure, including a major air base and missile production complex. While strikes occurred in the vicinity, targeting nuclear and military sites, Iranian officials and state media assert that the refinery itself was not damaged and continues to operate normally. Independent verification is limited due to restricted access and government controlled information in Iran. So, yeah, allegedly some strikes over here near the Isfahan oil refinery. And Isfahan also has a nuclear site that's been attacked already as well. And we had some strikes over here on some of these mountains. These are probably underground IRGC missile bases. That's what I'm thinking. So, I want to show you guys a couple of these videos real quick. Not much sound here, but we can see some massive airstrikes that were being carried out here on this hillside. And this is what happened yesterday in Tehran. There were some other mountains that were being targeted just outside the city as well. So that's allegedly where a lot of these underground bases, missile storage sites are located as well. This was outside the city of Isfahan. Here's another video coming up. All right, so just more evidence here of these strikes outside the city of Isfahan. Again, most likely targeting some underground bunkers or military sites over here. Now from Oza Defender, footage showing the explosion of a warehouse near Isfahan in central Iran earlier, which was likely being used to store and conceal surface-to-surface missiles and or other munitions following strikes on the area by the Israeli Air Force. Yeah, allegedly some sort of base or something over here. There's some buildings right here, and one of them gets struck and catch on fire and explode at some point. I want you guys to see this also. It's about 40 seconds long. Take a look. Right, so what we're seeing here is most likely a secondary detonation, as that building was already on fire, and then soon after there was a massive explosion. So you can see the fire there. There's that explosion. So probably some sort of munitions being stored in there. My best guess is probably ballistic missiles or some sort of components with explosive powder in there that probably ignited as the Israeli Air Force targeted that building also over here in Isfahan in central Iran. Now from Mosin Technical, new footage of the tanker Adeline ablaze in the Gulf of Oman after severe collision with a tanker front Eagle last night. Impact area is clearly visible and violently burning. Most of the superstructure is ablaze as well. So last night, I gave you guys some information that I didn't have too much info on just yet, that allegedly there was some fires being reported in the Gulf of Oman and not too far away from Iran, and we didn't know exactly what had happened yet. And I did hear some reports that some not container ships, but oil tankers were colliding with each other. That's allegedly what happened here. Is we had two oil tankers crashing into each other, and they caught on fire, is what was being reported here. So if you guys remember that report yesterday, that's what I shared with you, and that's the update that we have. Is allegedly it's some ships that caught on fire because they crashed into each other. Now from Mayar Tusi, breaking: Russia has withdrawn support for the Islamic Republic, according to Bloomberg. Yeah, Bloomberg was reporting this today, that apparently Russia's not going to be doing anything to get involved with what's going on over here. It looks like they're going to just let the Iranian regime collapse over here, kind of similar to what happened to Syria. If you guys remember, when Bashar al-Assad fled the country, basically went over to Russia. Looks like we're kind of seeing the same thing happening in Iran. Maybe some of the Iranian officials are going to start fleeing to Russia again here soon. And Russia's not going to be giving any support over to the Islamic Republic of Iran. So that's a crazy report there. Now, Vice Grad 24 breaking: the internet is down in most of Iran. Iran's National Cybersecurity Command says Israel has now launched a massive cyber war. That's another report. Apparently, internet is just down all over the place in Iran. This is also another big sign that probably we're going to see these massive strikes taking place over here very soon, as now we're seeing a huge cyber war that has been launched from Israel onto Iran. So Iran's taking a beating right now in every sector, and we're basically seeing them collapsing in real time, and it's happening very quickly. Now, Mario Nafal, Israeli minister, says we're nearing completion in Iran. Israel just signaled the endgame. The Minister of Strategic Affairs, Ron Dermer, says the mission in Iran is nearly complete and should not take long. No details, but quiet confidence that the job is almost done. Iranian military command hit. Nuclear sites bombed, cyber systems fried, and now Tel Aviv is hinting that the final phase is already underway. Yeah, so allegedly they're kind of like secretly celebrating already, and they're stating that that Iran is almost defeated. Is kind of what we're hearing from the Israeli side, and it really seems that way based on some of the evidence. Like their ballistic missile launches are so minimal now. They're not really attacking back in any way. A lot of their air defenses have been wiped out. Israel slamming targets all over Iran, destroying all kinds of infrastructure for Iran's military and hitting their nuclear sites and whatnot. And it seems like some of the last bit is just to kind of mop things up for the most part. And then the U.S. can come in and knock out these nuclear facilities, and it looks like that'll be done and over with. But we'll see what happens. That's what the Israelis are stating. Now for Max 25, 17 U.S. military tankers heading eastward. Yeah, there was reports this morning also that more of these aerial refuelers were heading towards the Middle East. Okay, or heading east, down towards the Middle East, that is. A lot of these are starting to move again, and we had reports yesterday that there was like 32 of them that were crossing over the Atlantic from the U.S. overnight on Sunday night. Then on Monday, yesterday, there was another 5 coming from the U.S., so there's so many of these aerial refuelers moving around right now, and which shows a big indication that we could see some massive strikes on Iran soon from the U.S. Now for Ocean Defender, 3 U.S. Air Force KC-135 seen departing RAF Lakenheath, if I'm saying that correctly, in England early this morning, each towing 4 F-35As. Lightning 2s heading towards the Middle East. Image credit goes to Tall Glen 85. So we had some pictures here of some of these KC-135 Strato tankers. These are aerial refuelers that were also towing some F-35s, and you can see them being escorted by other fighter jets here that are most likely heading towards the Middle East, is what I'm thinking. And again, this is a major sign that the U.S. is about to get involved, and I'm hearing that so many fighter jets are being taken over there right now to the Middle East or deployed over there. Now Mario Nafal breaking: Iran State Bank attacked. Hackers say we torched everything. Bank Sepah, Iran state-run banking giant, a key pipeline for funding gas stations and military programs, just got digitally nuked. A cyber attack disrupted services nationwide, and gas stations are already feeling it. Iranian media says it'll all be fixed in a few hours. Enter Predatory Sparrow, the same Israeli-linked hacker group that's been roasting Iran's infrastructure for years. They claim they wiped Bank Sepah's entire data vault, calling it a money laundering arm for the RGC nukes and terror buddies. They even gave a shout out to brave Iranians who helped from the inside. No word yet from Tehran, but you can bet the firewalls are sweating. The source was CNN and Reuters today. So yeah, Bank Sepah, major state-run bank in Iran, reportedly also hit by a major cyber attack, and Israel could have stole some data or whatnot. But the Iranians are stating they're getting it back online allegedly. But again, we're seeing a major cyber war from the Israelis right now. They're just hammering multiple sectors of Iran's economy, going after their internet even as well. So very crazy. Now from Ozen Defender, the Israel Defense Forces announced the elimination of Major General Ali Shadmani, the commander of the Qatam al-Anbiya central headquarters of the Iranian General Staff, who was just appointed to the position 2 days ago by Iranian Supreme Leader Major Ali Khamenei. Following the elimination on Friday of the previous commander, Major General Gholam Ali Rashid, in an Israeli strike on Tehran. So we reported this. Major General Ghulam Ali Rashid, we reported his death just a few days ago. He was struck and killed in Tehran. And then his predecessor, soon after, now he's been taken out as well. So it's crazy. Israel's doing the same exact thing to Iran that they did to Hamas. They did this to Hezbollah as well up in Lebanon. They're just taking out all the chain of command from the RGC. And there's just so many of these reports. This is one out of probably 15, 20 reports of lots of top commanders of the RGC, even top leaders within the Iranian regime government. And they're just striking all over the place, taking all these people out. It's insane. Now, from Ozen into it, IDF claims that they have vastly attrited Iran's ballistic missile stockpile seems to be supported by the numbers. The volume of Iranian missiles fixed during 6 consecutive strikes has fallen from 200 to 10. Yeah, so here's kind of like a graph showing the amount of Iranian missiles fired at Israel by strike, and from the different dates from June 13th until June 17th. And look at how much this graph is showing they've declined. And based on the video footage that we've been getting, we're not seeing nearly as many missiles being fired from the Iranians. In the very beginning, they fired something like 100, 150 or so. That lasted for about 48 hours. Soon after that, when Israel is striking ballistic missile launchers and launch sites all over their country, knocking out air defense systems, getting air superiority on the Iranians, we're not seeing nearly as many attacks, sometimes only 5 or 10 or even just as low as 1 missile being fired at a time. So the Iranians are trying to do whatever they can, but a lot of their capabilities seem like they've been wiped out so far from Israel. Now, Neo Berg, insane new details from the early hours of the war coming out. Israel tricked the entire regime air commando by making what can only be described as prank calls. Israel lured them into an emergency meeting room, then killed them. Pager bombings 2.0. Yeah, look at this report. Israeli secret services used fake phone call to lure Iran's Air Force elite to their deaths. The successful hit reportedly hobbled Iran's ability to respond to the first wave of Israeli Air Force strikes across the country. So this was apparently information coming back from way in the beginning of this operation that started, what was it, Thursday, Friday of last week? And Israel reportedly made some fake phone calls to call these Air Force commanders and top leaders of their military together in certain rooms, and told them maybe they need to show up for a briefing or something like that. Soon after, that's when they were launching these strikes on those buildings where they were luring them into their deaths. And that's crazy. Israel is just coming up with all these insane ways of finding quick ways to eliminate a lot of these members of the RGC, and this is exactly what we saw them doing. That's why it's talking about like the Pager 2.0 thing, what happened with Hezbollah when Israel was detonating pagers in the hands of Hezbollah members over there. So insane operations. Now, Clash report breaking: when Israel launched strikes on Iran last week, it claimed Iran was nearing a nuclear point of no return, but U.S. intelligence disagrees, assessing Iran wasn't actively pursuing a bomb and is still up to 3 years away from a deliverable weapon, according to official source CNN. Yeah, this is what CNN was reporting today, and take it with a grain of salt if you want to believe it or not, but they say here Israel said Iran was close to producing a nuclear weapon, but U.S. intelligence suggested otherwise. So, yeah, just like what we're hearing from the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, she said that Iran was not anywhere close to a nuclear weapon, and could it be lining up with this, 3 years away from having one, but yet for well over 10 years now, we've been hearing that Iran was close to getting a nuclear weapon and whatnot. Trump believes that they were days away, if not right now, they're about to have one. That's why they had to launch these strikes immediately. So just crazy, all the information, everything's just so conflicting. I wanted to share that with you. Now from Max 25, Iranian ballistic missiles reportedly hit 2 sites in the IDF intelligence complex in Herzliya, including Dayan Camp, home to military intelligence school. So we did have some strikes with Iranian ballistic missiles over the last 24 hours. This was reported today, June 17th, 2025. We've got some strikes here and some destruction in Herzliya inside of Israel. The Dayan Camp, home to the military intelligence school, was reportedly targeted and hit by ballistic missiles. So we're still having some strikes inside of Israel. Here's another one from Mosin Defender, the impact crater from the Iranian ballistic missile that landed earlier this morning near Herzliya to the northeast of Tel Aviv in central Israel. Okay, so here's another video coming out showing an impact here that looks like in the middle of an open field or something, but can't really tell for sure, but we can see this massive impact crater from one of these ballistic missiles that were fired from Iran. Now, finally, our last update, Ozen Defender. Within the last hour, Iran launched roughly 10 ballistic missiles at central Israel, with most being intercepted and 2 falling in open areas to the north of Tel Aviv. So as you can see here, they're only firing 5 or 10 of these at the time. And what we're really starting to hear now is that Israel is intercepting nearly all of these. Sometimes we're having strikes, but nothing like what we saw in the beginning when Iran was firing, 100 of these or more at a time, multiple salvos. They're just really starting to slow down, and it's making it easier for Israel to intercept some of these. Now, some are making it through and striking, just like we saw in Herzliya there, but a good majority now being taken down. So crazy updates coming out for the Middle East, guys. I want to thank you so much for being here with me today. And let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. But that's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.